Hey everyone, so Wreckfest finally got a full release, and it's actually really nice. I like what they've done with the UI. They changed it up just a little bit, and they've also added... Well, like, it's pretty much the same. I think you'd recognize this screen from the last build when I was playing this game, on this channel at least. But it's just done in a little bit of a different way, like they've got a nice gold trim on it. It looks great. And all of our progress last time has been, well, cancelled because they have come up with a whole new career system. So I decided I'd do the first two. I just did the demolition heat race, and I also did the lawnmowers deathmatch. But today I figured, let's do this one and see how it goes. So when it comes to cars, I have this Mustang which they gave you, and a Bandit which they gave me as well, and also I unlocked the lawnmower. I'm assuming that everybody gets these two cars. I haven't done any upgrades to it at all. All I did was change the... I guess I actually could do upgrades, but all I did was change the colors and the livery, if that's what it's called. But I think that this car needs a little bit extra armor. We don't want to... It's weird that it doesn't show a preview for this kind of thing, but we don't want to make it too heavy because then it won't work as well as I'd hope it would. But let's just... I actually hadn't planned exactly what I was going to do here. Let's just upgrade the roll cage. I have the money to do it, and that's a little bit different. So with that, and I think we'll do like one engine upgrade maybe. And then we should be good to go. Yeah, so let's do the event. I think what I want to do is, we're going to stick with normal vehicle damage, but I'm going to take the AI and turn them up to expert, because in the games that I've played, it's been pretty easy to win. Like, in the first two events, I got first and did all the events, all the event objectives, without really trying. So I think that it's better to crank up the difficulty just that little extra bit. I do have assists on half, so yeah, I mean, it's making it a little bit easier for me to have the assists on half, but yeah. So the game features pretty much the same tracks as it did before. Okay, so you can see there's a bonus target. We need to spin out at least 3 opponents. And you'll notice they also have music, which I turned off, but apparently I didn't turn off because it's still playing. I'm gonna have to turn that off, otherwise we will get copyright striked. But yeah, difficulty, like I said, it's currently on amateur, which is medium, so we'll crank it up to expert and go to settings, go to audio. See, in-game music is turned off, but we're gonna have to turn music volume down. Alright. We must fear the YouTube copyright strike potential. Yeah, so this Mustang is actually really quick. I think it might be a little strong in comparison to the other cars in these series. One thing that I did notice is I just accepted the default settings on the game, like the ones that it chooses for you. For graphics, and it shows pretty well. The game doesn't look terrible, it definitely doesn't look amazing. It could look better on a more powerful computer, but it doesn't look bad, and it runs well. I remember back in the first... Gotta spin out this, looks like to be maybe a pretend RX car. Yeah, so I remember back in the first couple builds of this game, because I actually pre-ordered this game a long time ago. That was quite a few years ago. But I remember during those, I had this same computer. Actually, I remember playing it on my laptop to start. But then when I got this computer, I was so excited to play it, and play it on the max settings. And I tried it at max settings, and it was like a PowerPoint presentation. Like, the frame rate was so bad. So it's definitely improved over the years. So because the game is out now, I just wanted to talk about the development of it a little bit, and that's sort of why I'm making this video, just because I've seen the development of the game. I have participated in the development of the game in the sense of community voting, and I've been there since the beginning, so yeah. By the way, that objective to spin people out covers the entire series, as far as I know. At least that's what it's been doing before. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I will attempt to spin somebody out though if we get a chance, like right here. And I totally missed. Playing dirty is definitely something that they advise in this game, but okay, it's not true to say that I'm not somebody who does that, because if you've seen my grid and my dirt videos, then you know that I do race pretty on the edge when it comes to the AI. But yeah, it's kind of unnatural to aim to knock people over in this. Anyway though, so I remember back at the beginning of this game, they were talking about doing stuff like having parts that you could buy in a used market. That was one thing I remember specifically. And they were going to go like full simulation style, from what I could tell. And I'm actually really glad they didn't. I remember they put out a poll to vote on it, and I voted on it. And then in the like later builds, they wound up putting it into the game. So there were actually used parts at one point in this game that you could buy for your car. But they took that away in favor of this new system back when they kind of revitalized the game and got THQ Nordic to publish it, which was actually a blessing, getting a publisher, because I don't think this game would have been finished otherwise. It's really cool that it actually got finished after all this time. Although the backer car that is supposed to come with the deluxe edition isn't in the game, so I'm kind of mildly disappointed, I'll say. And the damage is still top notch. Still really good damage, but good racing as well. I've discussed BeamNG versus this game before, so maybe I'll do that again in the future, but we have to talk about BeamNG as well. There's some exciting news there. So what I was going to say is... Oh, that guy almost hit a wall. At one point they had a store specifically set up for used parts. But I'm so glad they changed it to like a Forza setup, as it is now. I hadn't played any Forza games other than a demo up until, pretty recently. So I didn't even know that a system like that existed, and I hadn't even thought of it when I was voting on the used car or used part system that they had going. But I think that would have just needlessly complicated the game. Like, they had things like part degradation, and like if you were to crash into somebody else, then your bumper would lose like health points basically, and then after a while it would just like become non-functional at some point, and then you'd have to buy a new one from the store type thing, or you could repair parts. And I'm really glad they took that out. This just isn't the game for it at this point. It seems like they've gone in a really good direction. Like this is an arcade game, but it's more of a dirt style arcade game. Like it's still got heavy movements. It's still like a nice grounded car sort of combat game, I would say. Like, the racing definitely comes first. Oh, okay. The racing definitely comes first. They wanted me to change my setup there, but I'm just not bothering. We should change the setup, but I just haven't done it. But this game has really good racing, and that's kind of the point. The destruction is one thing, and it's a lot of fun, but it's not the entire game. And that's really good. Like, the focus has been able to cover multiple areas instead of just being as being really good at one thing, which is sort of a thing that happens a lot with these games. Even BeamNG to an extent, like the destruction is really good in BeamNG, and that's kind of the foundation for the game. But then they've gone ahead and they have successfully made it so that you can do a lot more than just destroy things, and that's sort of the way that the game becomes successful, at least in my mind. Like, oftentimes we see, I'm trying to think of some examples, but we see games like, they come out with really cool mechanics, and then you play the game, and the game is just garbage. Okay, we are... I had to reset there, that we weren't going to come back. At least that's what I'm telling myself, so I can sleep at night. But some games, they have really promising ideas, and then they come out and they're garbage. They're just not good games, but they have interesting mechanics. And for me, a lot of the interest came from the destruction in this game. That was one of the major selling points. That was the thing that I was most interested in. But I'm extremely happy to say that they've wrapped it up with good gameplay, and it's just a solid racing game, and that's exactly how it should be. Honestly, this game feels like modern Fallout now. Flatout, not Fallout. Modern Flatout. I have Flatout 2 on the original Xbox, and I have played a lot of it, and to me it feels like similar weight. Obviously there's no boost, which is a good thing, to be honest. I like it without boost. It makes things just that slightly more realistic, but also competitive. Like in the old Flatout games, you had to hit things to build up your boost, which was fine. And it was fun back then, but I think the modern interpretation of it being this game is just better, and I'm happy to say that. Overall, the development of the game has been a little bit spotty. Like back in the early development, things were going pretty quickly, but after a while it slowed down, and it slowed down to the point where there just wasn't anything coming out. And that was pretty disheartening. It's kind of sad to see these early access games with promising concepts go into, well, they turn into nothing. Like after a while they'll just release the game out of pity. Like, oh no, we need to release our game. It's been like 3 months since we've done an update, and yet 100,000 people paid for it. And it seems like a lot of early access games fall guilty to that same situation. And I was scared for this game. I thought that it was gonna die. I thought that it was all over. But then they got a publisher and they got the funding they needed to finish it, which is great. Ooh, that hurt. Oh my goodness. Well, that's the most damage we have gotten in this race so far. You can see the engine just hanging out. Looks like we have a V8. I didn't check, actually. Maybe I should have turned the AI down. But I think of games like Rust, for example. Rust has actually turned out to be decent, but I used to play it back when it first came out. Like, very first came out. And it had zombies back then. If you've played Rust for a long time, then you know. I think I have like 20-something hours in the game, but it was basically just because back then, and I think still now, it's the case, but you had to, if you made a fortress, it would degrade over time, and you actually had to go and like fix it. And the degradation was actually very quick, so you would come back the next day and pieces of it would be missing. It's kind of like it's almost an addicting game loop, because if you stop playing, then you're gonna lose progress. Oh no, we have to spin one more person out. I don't think we're gonna get max points in this mode, so... Oh, come on. My goodness. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get max points in this mode, so... It's alright with me if I come 16th. But games like Rust have evolved into well, what they are today, and I haven't played it for years, so I have no idea. But it seems to be relatively successful. I think it holds a pretty high rating on Steam, especially for an early access game. I don't know if it has come out yet, which is something I should have looked at before trying to use it as an example. Let's spin this guy out. Oh no. Yeah, I just got extra points there for bullying that truck because he's my rival. So I kind of just cheated the system a little bit there. That guy had just spun himself out, and then I gave him a tap and got the extra points. But it's fine. Yeah, I think it's good though to see some success stories. Going from next car game to Wreckfest to this. And this is just good. Like, you can see that they've added a lot. It has a new filter, it seems, over everything, and I like the look of it. It's kind of a gritty filter. The music is okay. I haven't really listened to a lot of it. 14th, goodness. So much for being decent at racing games. Hey, we got 11th. That's, I mean, it's something. I'm not too disappointed. Alright, what would this be if we didn't do a quick... I don't even know where it is these days. Crash Canyon. There it is. Main circuit of Crash Canyon. My boy. And we're going to try out this car because I have never driven it. And it looks pretty crazy. Let me know if this is something that they give you. I'm assuming it is, but I also had a lot of cars back in the earlier versions of this game, so I don't know. Right, so let's do 5 laps, realistic damage, random time of day, and then we will go... Let's go novice AI. Like I said previously, the novice AI on this track are terrible, and so you have to... I choose to use them because they crash a lot more often, and that makes it fun. And yeah, the expert AI just stick to the track a little bit too well, and I've got to make sure that they crash, because otherwise Crash Canyon won't live up to its name. But yeah, here we are. Let's change the suspension to soft. Gear ratio is short. Yeah, we don't even need top speed. Let's go... Hold on, I'm trying to read what it says. Let's go lock diff, and then brake balance is fine. That's probably a crap setup, but at this point I'm not really caring. This is a very powerful car. And I can already tell. I'm liking the new car sounds as well. Oh my goodness, it's fast. The gear ratio change was an excellent idea. But I think I should have put a bumper on the top of this thing. Get out of my way, you Datsun. Alright, here we go. Oh, I just landed on top of that guy. Just absolutely crushed his trunk. The short gear ratios are terrible in this, but the handling is actually really good with the lock diff. I think that was a good idea. We have no top speed at all because it just instantly goes to... It just instantly hits red line. This is a bit of a disaster, but I'm loving it. I think this is what this game was made for. Oh no! Oh darn. Okay, we just... Okay, our front end is not looking as pretty as it should, and our steering is completely off. The realistic damage is hindering me, I'll say. I don't think we're gonna make it through the laps. This thing is just so fast. 35-second. Actually, I forgot what my fastest lap was back before this build, because they undid all the leaderboards. There's somebody who died. They took away all the leaderboards, So, and by took away I mean reset, not took away, they just reset them. So I don't remember what my Crash Canyon record was. Oh goodness, that guy was just flying away there. Moral of the story, kids, do not stop in the middle of the track, even if your car won't move. I like the little details on this track. I think they've improved it significantly. I can't wait to get a better computer, which I will do in the next probably year or so. Probably 2019 I'll get a new computer. I'll build a much better computer, is what I mean. And once that day comes, I'm going to crank this game up to full and see what it's got to offer, because, yeah, it's just that kind of game. Well, we've managed to stay alive through the laps, but I'm hearing noises from behind us. I think that somebody's attempting to catch up. I'm wondering if they have any classes higher than A now. I think they did before, but I don't remember. Oh no! Oh, that was minus 11. That was... Goodness, we're so close to death, and we're so close to finishing. Come on. There we go. Hey, that was actually pretty good. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I got a bunch of credits as well, and level 5. Hey, can't argue with that. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I will see you next week for some more videos. I know I promised a longer, like, video essay style one, and I will do that eventually. I just haven't had time. But yeah, look forward to that.